Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. It's me Saba, your mathematics teacher. Today we will discuss our next topic from chapter number 11, data handling, and the topic is bar graph. So as I told you in the previous lecture that bar graph is one of the way through which we can interpret or present our data. Today we will discuss that how to present or interpret the data through bar graph, and we will also discuss that how to read our data from the bar graph. So let's have a look to the example number 1, that is the bar graph below shows the number of television sets sold by a store over a 3-month period. So if you look at the graph below, the scale here, this scale is shows the number of television sets sold. So basically this is the frequency. So this scale starts from 0, the next number is 2, next is 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 and 18. So that means here is a difference of 2. This shows that this scale is in multiples of 2. Now we will discuss the bar for each month. So if you look at the bar for January, so this bar is ends on 8. So as I told you before that this scale is shows the number of television sets sold. So if this bar graph for January ends on 8, that means 8 television sets were sold in a month of January. Now next bar is for February. Now look that bar graph ends on number 16. That means 16 television sets were sold in the month of February. Now the next bar is for March. Now this bar ends on it ends between 12 and 14. So as we know that the number between 12 and 14 is 13. So if this graph ends on the number that is between 12 and 14, so that means 13 television sets were sold in the month of March. So this is how we can read the data from any bar graph. Now we will solve the exercise related to this topic that is on the same page, practice zone. Question number 1 is, the pictogram shows the number of pages of a book read by 5 children in a day. So in the first example, what we discussed that how to read the data from the bar graph. Now in this exercise question, we will discuss that how to present or how to interpret the data through bar graph. Now first we collect the data from this given pictogram, and then we will show this data on the bar graph. Okay, so first we have to collect the data from this pictogram. So let's have a look to this pictogram. So this pictogram shows that here are 5 children that reads the different number of pages of a book. So the key symbol that is used in this pictogram is a picture of a book, and this one book stands for 5 pages. So first children is Mary. So here are 3 symbols of book used for Mary. That means Mary read 15 pages of book. As I told you that this one book stands for 5 pages. So if there are 3 books, so 3 times 5 equals to 15. That means Mary reads 15 pages of book. Next children is Jew, and here are 2 symbols of book. That means 5 plus 5 equals to 10. That means Jew read 10 pages of book. Next is Jill. Now here are 6 symbols of book. So that means 6 times 5 equals to 30. This shows that Jill read 30 pages of book. Now Sarah. So here are 5 symbols of book. So that means Sarah read 25 pages of the book. And for Bob, here are 4 symbols that are used. So that means Bob read 20 pages of book. As we know that 4 times 5 equals to 20. So this is how we can collect the data from pictogram. Now we have our data, and now we will present this data on a bar graph. So for that you have to turn to the next page, that is page number 198. The question is, using the data from the pictogram on the previous page, complete the bar graph below and then fill in the blank. So you can see here is an incomplete bar graph and you have to complete it. So for that you have to take out your pencil and you have to complete it with me. So first look at the scale. So this scale shows the number of pages of book, and if you can see, this starts from 0 and the next number is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. That means this scale is in multiples of 5. So as the pictogram shows that Mary reads 15 pages of book, so we have to raise the bar for Mary till 15. Now, next is Jew. So as we know that Jew read 10 pages of book, so we will raise his bar till 10. Similarly, the pictogram shows that Jill read 30 pages of book, so we will raise his bar till 30. And Sarah read 25 pages, so we will raise her bar till 25. And Bob read 20 pages of book, so we will raise his bar till 20. So this is how we have to complete the bar graph, and now we have to answer the questions that are following. So part A is dash and dash read a total of 30 pages altogether. So the answer is Bob and Jew. Why? Because Bob read 20 pages of book and Jew read 10 pages of book according to the bar graph. So 20 plus 10 equals to 30. So we can say that they both read a total of 30 pages altogether. Now part B is, if Mary read 10 more pages, she would have read the same number of pages as dash. So the answer is Sarah, because you can see the bar graph shows that Mary read 15 pages of book. So if she read 10 more pages, so this bar graph will raise till 25, because 15 plus 10 equals to 25. So we will raise her bar till 25. Now, if you look at the bar graph of Mary and Sarah, the bar graph for Mary and Sarah are same. So we can say that she would have read the same number of pages as Sarah. Now we will solve the question related to this topic that is included in our skill zone. So for that you have to turn to the next page, that is 199. Skill zone, apply what you know. Question number 1. Twinkle and Jimbo counted the number of marbles in the same jar. Each person drew a bar graph to show the number of different colored marbles in the jar. So you can see first graph is Twinkle's graph and the next is Jimbo's graph. So you can see both graph shows the numbers of marbles, and on the x-axis here are the colors of marbles: red, blue, green, yellow. Now if you see, first we will discuss the Twinkle's graph. So if you see the Twinkle's graph, so you can see here is a scale that starts from 0 and the next number is 5, 10, 15, 20 and up to so on. So this scale is in multiples of 5. And if you look at to the Jimbo's graph, the scale starts from 0, next number is 10, 20, 30, 40 and up to so on. So this scale is in multiples of 10. Now the question is, the bars on Twinkle's graph are of different lengths from Jimbo's graph. Why? Is Jimbo's graph is correct or Twinkle's graph? So the answer is both the graphs are correct. Why? Because if you look at the Twinkle's graph, so the bar for red marbles ends on 10. And if you look at to the Jimbo's graph, the bar for red marbles also ends on 10 here. That means both the graphs gives us the same information, gives us the same reading, that is 10. Similarly, the bar for blue marbles in Twinkle's graph ends on 40. Similar to this, in Jimbo's graph, the bar for blue marbles end on 40. So again, both the bars in both the graphs gives us the same information. So that means both the graphs are correct. The difference is just that the scale used in Twinkle's graph is in multiples of 5, while the scale used in Jimbo's graph is in multiples of 10. So this is all about today's lecture. Your home task is to do question number 6 of page 205 and fun zone of page 206 on book. So best of luck for your home task. Allah Hafiz.